All the games, all the sides. Welcome to 5 Minute Lines.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to 5 Minute Lines. This is Bryan. Good to be back with you guys for this Tuesday slate. It is the small one of the week. We had a pretty big one last night, and then Wednesday and Fridays are huge. No games on Thanksgiving, so it'll be a nice break. But today is our other break. Only 4 games here. We're going to dive right in. The first game is the Toronto Raptors. They are visiting the Orlando Magic, who are on a little bit of a run right now, 9-8 on the year. Have been playing pretty good basketball of late. This line opened up at Raptors -6.5. It has since moved to -7. Total opened up at 222.5, since moved down just a tick to 221.5. Injury-wise, nothing for the Magic, really. Raptors have a couple role players here that are questionable. CJ Miles and OG Anunoby, both questionable to suit up. Based on our power ratings, which we're going to get updated either later today or early tomorrow morning, so stay tuned for that. We have this as about Raptors -8.5, -9. So the fact that it opened up to 6.5, already moving in the direction of our power ratings up to 7, could be a little bit of value there, especially if you think that the Magic are playing a little bit over their heads. You know, Toronto has been a little up and down over the last couple of weeks, still 13-4 on the season. I mean, point differential is about as good as it gets in the NBA, but perhaps a little bit of recency bias on both teams. Toronto obviously just massively more talented, even with some of these guys questionable, and should definitely be a pretty sizable favorite here. So our power ratings is a little more bullish on them than the current betting market, especially at that 6.5 number. I wouldn't be surprised to see it even move up beyond 7. So if you want to grab the Raptors, I would advise doing it now, because I think it's just going to continue to move in their favor. 63% of the bets are already on the Raptors, and I would anticipate that would grow throughout the day. So I don't mind a small bet on the Raptors, especially because I think it's going to move in that favor today. The next game is the Los Angeles Clippers visiting the Washington Wizards, who are 5-11 and seem to be imploding based on all the reports. They had a volatile practice the other day, based on a couple beat reporters that put that out there. And it seems like these guys are just not really happy, don't enjoy playing together. It is quite a mess. We'll see if anything comes of that, you know, whether it is a trade of one of their stars or they just continue to bicker at each other like they've done for years. So obviously not a good situation there. They do get the Clippers coming off a back-to-back here. Clippers had an interesting game last night against the Atlanta Hawks. Actually, we're not playing that well and ended up having to put on a really nice fourth quarter in order to get the win. They ended up winning 127-119, but they outscored the Hawks 38-23 in the fourth quarter. You know, sometimes if the team really has to put it on at the end, the night before back-to-back, that is a little concerning. But the Clippers are just so deep that they don't play their guys a whole lot. I mean, Tobias Harris played the most minutes on this team. He played 33 minutes last night, took just 15 shots. So, I mean, that's not too bad. Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams were the only other guys to get even 30 minutes. I mean, this team is really good because of its depth. I mean, they have 10 legitimate NBA guys in their rotation, guys like Patrick Beverley, Avery Bradley, that are getting, you know, in the teens in minutes. And those guys, you know, could potentially be getting in the high 20s, even starting for some teams. So I think the Clippers are a little bit more immune to back-to-backs than most teams, so I wouldn't penalize them too much on that one. So we'll see if the betting market sort of overreacts to that just a little bit. The line here opened up at Wizards -1, and it is still there. Total opened up at 230, now at 230.5. Based on our power ratings, we have this about Wizards -1.5, so about right in line with that. But of course, that doesn't really factor in how much you think of the back-to-back, and then probably more important, how much you think of the Wizards being an absolute mess right now. They do not seem to enjoy playing with each other. The record indicates that they're not very good this year, and interestingly enough, the Clippers are getting 68% of the money, but the line has not budged. So I'll be curious to see whether this line moves or not. I would assume that sharp people would be on the Clippers just because of how bad that Wizards situation is, but we'll see if that's the case. Maybe there could be a little overreaction there. Injury-wise, we got a couple guys who are questionable. Danilo Gallinari for the Clippers missed last night's game with an illness. He is currently, we're projecting him to play right now, but just keep that in mind because he did miss last night. We don't have an update on him, and it was just an illness, not an injury. So we'll have to see if he is healthy enough to give it a go tonight. And then Dwight Howard did not practice yesterday, and we have not gotten an update since then. So keep that in mind as well. Next game is the Brooklyn Nets. They're visiting the Miami Heat. This line opened up at Heat -3, since moved up to -3.5. Total opened up at 215.5, since moved down just to 215. Injury-wise, one big one, Goran Dragic is out. He's been out for a couple games. It looks like he's going to be out for another week or so. Obviously, a pretty big one on the slate here. Could lead to some DFS value with guys getting more minutes and usage. Hassan Whiteside in particular has really crushed. He's averaged almost 1.6 DraftKings points per minutes in the time with Dragic out this year. So I assume that he will be pretty enticing play in DFS. By the time you listen to this, we will have an injury article that we put out every day. It's called the NBA Injury Report. You can find it on actionnetwork.com, where we go through the slate's biggest injuries and what it means for the DFS and betting market. So by the time you listen to this, that should be up, and we'll have some more data on Dragic and what he means to the Heat. So check that out. Based on our power ratings, we have this as Heat -3.5, -4, so right about in line with the betting market. I think the more interesting thing here is the potential DFS value with Dragic out. And then finally, the Portland Trail Blazers visit the New York Knicks. This line opened up at Blazers -7.5, since moved up just a tick to -8. Total opened at 222.5, since moved down to 220. Injury-wise, nothing really for the Knicks other than the stuff we already know about. For the Blazers, Mo Harkless and Seth Curry will be out again, so a little thin on their wing rotation. Based on our power ratings, we have this about Blazers -5, 5.5, so a little bit lower than the current market, although we could be a little bit lower on the Blazers than maybe we should be. We have been a little bit slow to overreact to stuff at the beginning of the year, and the Blazers have definitely exceeded expectations, sitting at 11-5. Damian Lillard looks like a legitimate MVP candidate. Their point differential is really good. So, based on their preseason expectations, it looked like they were going to potentially be fighting for that 8th seed in the West, or some analysts thought that they were even in danger of missing the playoffs. And based on their current team and how they've played, that does not look to be the case. It looks like they are actually quite good and in the running for home court advantage in the West. So I admit that we're probably just a little bit slow on teams like that. Sometimes that works out in your favor. You sort of catch teams that are playing over their heads that are due for regression, but sometimes teams are legit, and you have to tease that out over the course of the season. So 70% of the tickets are on Portland. No surprise, they're definitely going to be a public team, especially here in New York. So that is the slate. Again, check out our NBA injury report. It should be up by the time you're listening to this, and go download our app for updated lines and analysis. Thank you guys. Good luck tonight, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.